You're using Snowflake's AI services, Cortex Functions, Search, Analyst, Document AI. Your Snowflake bill shows one line, AI services, for some amount of money. But what's driving that? Which models, which teams, which operations? Snowflake doesn't break it down for you. You see one number. That's it. But AI services is actually 5 different things. Cortex Functions, which are your LLM calls. Cortex Search, which are semantic searches. Cortex Analyst, which are natural language analytics, Document AI, which is PDF processing, and fine tuning, which is custom models. Each have different cost structures used by different teams. Without the breakdown, you can't answer basic questions like, are we spending more on search or inference? Which team is driving Cortex cost? Or which models cost the most? When costs spike 40%, your CFO asks why, and you have no good answer. Here's how to actually see where your AI spend is going. So you can see inside of Ultimate AI, we give you a full overview of your AI services inside of Snowflake. And just jumping down here to our total cost for a time period, you can see like in the past month between 2/12 and 3/12, we've spent $19.74 thousand. So again, that's that one line item that you would see inside of your Snowflake bill. And then we break it down for you. So you can see on a daily basis, we have a bar chart for you here broken down by function. And so you can see there's a massive gain or a massive growth of AI use after March 26th. And then looking at like March 8th, excuse me. Sorry, I'm looking at the dates. March 8th, excuse me. You can see that we had 3.15 thousand on Cortex function, and then so on and so forth there. But you can tell by looking at this bar chart that these green bars are showing that our Cortex functions are the number one spend that we're using inside of Snowflake. So with that in mind, we also show that down here in the table, but let's jump into that and see what's actually driving those costs as well. So for Cortex functions, I can click in here. You can see here's that bar chart again, and on the last page we can do the same thing. We can aggregate this daily, weekly, monthly as well. We'll just keep it daily for right now. But what's even cooler is you can group by function name here. So we can group by and say like, hey, on this day we spent 2.16 thousand on AI classify, 1.35 thousand on AI complete, a little bit on embed, and then 13 cents on other. Or we can go by model name as well. So we can look and see whether we're using more Claude, Snowflake Arctic, unspecified, so on and so forth there. And you can see here, this is like the only day that we really had a big spike using Snowflake Arctic. So something definitely to check out on March 8th. Maybe we were testing something that day, or something new happened that we definitely need to check out. So that's great on the bar chart. But of course, bar charts don't always give you all the information that you want. So then you might want to come down here and take a look at this in a table. So you can see this is broken down by model name, function name, warehouse ID, and tokens, right? And then so on and so forth here. And so like if we wanted to drill into, let's say we want to explore model name, and so we want to look at Claude Sonnet. We'll just look at Claude Sonnet 4.5, apply the filters to that. So now we're looking at everything that we're doing here. We have our start time, end time here, cost, token credits, just actual tokens as well. Also the warehouse ID, and you can see the warehouse ID is clickable. This would actually take you to show you that specific warehouse inside of Ultimate to show you any sort of optimizations you can do for that warehouse. So we can see here that our top credit use, at least in this first page, is from warehouse 720. And we used 1.18 thousand on like an hour scale there. And of course we can sort this as well and show off like, hey, like here's a few times we spent $1,000 in an hour. So these are definitely worth checking out to see, hey, like on March 10th, March 11th, we spent over $1,000 in this 1 hour span on both days. So something's going on there. We definitely want to check that out. So this of course gives you the breakdown of what's going on in these models with Cortex functions, and then we can bounce back over to AI services. We can take a look at the next service as well. So now we can jump into Cortex Search, which is our second biggest total cost. We can jump into this, and you can see we're spending around the same amount of money every single day on Cortex Search. We're spending around $56, $55 there. So that is good for a team to see, is that, hey, like there's no big spikes happening here. But something else to look at that I think is important is like on the 17th of February, we actually only spent $32. And so obviously a big spike in spending is bad, but sometimes like a lowering can show you something as well. So maybe we turned something off that day, or something didn't work like we wanted it to, but definitely something worth checking out on February 17th to see why was it cheaper that day? Why did we actually spend $20 less that day? Could be something to check out for sure. And of course down here we can see by database, by schema, and service name here about what's going on. And of course, we can filter these. We can filter these by database, by schema as well, just to take a look and see what's being spent and what's going on. And of course, I can filter this, or I can sort these as well. So say we want to sort these by cost, and we can say, hey, like in this specific database with an aggregate schema with this service name, we spent 6 credits, which ended up being $10 on this specific date with a consumption site of serving there, right? So all good information. And of course, you can see there's 394 pages of this. Listen, as much as I would love to make a video of me running through 394 pages of AI stuff, no one wants to watch that. So you just have to, there's other things there. So you can dig into as much granularity as you want inside of your AI services and get down to the minute level of what you want to see inside of Ultimate AI. So let's jump back into our third AI service, which would be Cortex Analyst. And of course, like all of these, we're spending a bit less money, right? But still worth checking out here. And so what we can see here on the cost is that, we're pretty regular, and you can tell that like what's being spent during, like, these are things that are not running on a regular basis on a weekend, obviously, right? Because you can tell on like 5-day spans here, we're spending money, taking some time off. 5 days, we're spending money, taking some time off. 5 days we're spending money, taking some time off. So again, these are something that are happening on the weekends, that's not happening on the weekends. That's good for us to know. And of course, we can come down here, and this is going to give us by a username, right? So we have all of our usernames over here on the left side of our screen, and then we have that by cost. And of course, I can sort this as well. And let's sort this by credit usage. And you can see like, hey, this first person has used the most credits in an hour span there as well. So of course, you can filter these, change these things out to get this view exactly like you want it to. But this is going to break us down what's going on in Cortex Analyst by user there on that table, which is really good information for you. And then jumping down to Cortex document processing. So this is working with PDFs. We haven't used this too much, and you can tell like there was some testing on it over here on the first 4 days, and like we just haven't used it much afterwards. But again, good for us to know that how much we're spending on these things, because maybe your company uses this function inside of Cortex more than the other ones. So we definitely want to show off what's going on here. So of course, same thing here. We have our query IDs, we have usernames, we have model names, so on and so forth there. And of course, we can sort these as well by cost and say, hey, like these two, the parsed documents that are happening here cost $10.50. And what you can tell here is that like these two were 1,800 and 1,700 pages, which is why that's cost more. So if I sort this by page count, you can tell that the number of pages here is a determining factor of how much this is going to cost, which again, this is all common sense. I mean, obviously, if there's more things, it's going to cost more, but just good for you to know, good for you to be able to actually look and say, hey, like this specific query cost me this much. Because of course, that can go back to charging specific teams or specific billing groups inside of your company, which is always good information. And then we have one more AI service to look at here, which is Cortex Fine Tuning, which you can tell we've only used this one time. So we fine-tuned this llama model, used this many tokens to do so, cost $1.06. So again, nothing crazy happening on our Cortex Fine Tuning, but again, that could be the main thing your business is doing. And inside of Ultimate AI, we can show you a breakdown of everything that's happening, whether it's Cortex Fine Tuning, whether it's document processing, Cortex Functions, anything you want to see here, we can give you a detailed breakdown of what spending looks like in those. You may be thinking, Steven, that's great and a lot of information, but why do we need that level of granularity? Well, good for you, because I'm about to tell you how teams have been using this breakdown. So first off, cost optimization. You discover that a majority of your Cortex function costs are on Mistral large costs. You investigate and find most of those costs could run on a smaller model at a fraction of the cost. Now you can make an informed decision about model selection across your full organization. Second, team chargeback. Your finance team needs to allocate AI costs to business units. Now you can provide precise data like marketing's Cortex search usage or product's Cortex Analyst usage, accurate chargeback allocation. Third, usage audits. You fine-tuned a custom model months ago, but looking at the function call data, it's rarely being used. That's a clear signal to investigate the rate of return on that model. Next, capacity planning. So you see Cortex Analyst usage growing significantly month over month. That's a leading indicator for budget planning. Model selection. You can compare cost per call across models. Mistral Large versus Llama 3.17. Same quality for your use case. Now you have data to make that decision, and you don't have to just go off of vibes or which one your software engineer likes more. And anomaly detection. Document AI costs suddenly spike. You drill in and see an unusual volume of pages processed in one day. Turns out someone ran a test job in production. Without this breakdown, this would stay hidden, and you would just get a really large bill without any way of knowing what happened. This is what cost transparency actually means for AI services. Not just knowing you spent money, but knowing exactly where every dollar went. Which models, which functions, which teams, which operations. That's how you make intelligent decisions about your AI investments. That's how you optimize without guessing. That's how you justify AI spend to leadership with actual data. Snowflake gives you the capabilities. Ultimate gives you the visibility to use them wisely. Want to see this breakdown for your AI services spend? Check out the link in the description to set up a meeting with us. Thank you so much for tuning in for this video. If you haven't subscribed, we'd love it if you joined us as we build the ultimate AI platform for data. See you next time.